Hi, welcome to Java for Beginners. In this video, we're going to talk about expressions and operator precedence. Let's get started. So we've seen these operations, the not, multiplication, division, modulus, just to run you down, less than or equals, greater than or equals, and, the logical or, plus and minus. Now this order that we're seeing them in right now is the order of precedence. So if there is multiple of them forming an expression, then which ones you start evaluating first, then what's next, So you start with unary operators, like not. Arithmetic operators, these have the same precedence. But if you have multiple of them, then you go from left to right. Same goes for relational operators. You go from left to right, and then logical and comes first, then a logical or, then the arithmetic operators plus and minus. You can override all these things by having parentheses around things. So if you want to force an addition before a comparison, then you put the two numbers between parentheses and then you do the comparison. We're going to see examples and explain all about the precedence. All right, let's check out this example code that we have here. So I have an arithmetic expression here, and I got a bunch of operations. So addition, multiplication, subtraction, and division. Let's have a look at our table that we've seen just a minute ago. So I don't have any unary operators. But in terms of arithmetic operators, well, I do have multiplication, division in this expression here. So these operations will take precedence. And I also have some more arithmetic operations, but they're at the bottom. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to, and remember from left to right, if you have operations of the same precedence. So right here, I have two operations of the same precedence, the multiplication and the division, and the addition and the subtraction. So start with the multiplication and division. So b multiplied by 2, because from left to right, and then 4 divided by 2. So that's here going to be 2, and that's here going to be 6. So then I'm going to do the addition and the subtraction. So a is 5. 5 plus 6 minus 2. 5 plus 6 minus 2. So let's run that and see what's going to happen. Well, I made the mistake of not having a print statement. So let's print the result and try again. I got 9. Cool. Now, we've spoken about parentheses and how you can force a certain precedence using parentheses. So let's try that. So we know that the addition operation is not going to be executed first. So I can force it to be executed first by adding parentheses. So what's going to happen now is we're just going to do the parentheses first, all the parentheses everywhere, and then we're going to perform the precedence business as usual. So a plus b is 8, and then I've got a multiplication, division, and a subtraction. So this will be 8, and then I'm going to do the multiplication and the division first. So 8 multiplied by 2 is 16, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So 16 minus 2 is 14. If you hit run, you get 14. What if I want to force another operation to take precedence? Say the subtraction. So what I have here is 8 multiplied by 2 minus 4, which is minus 2. So 8 by minus 2 is minus 16. Divided by 2 is minus 8. So if you try that now, you get minus 8. Straightforward, huh? Let's take another example. All right, so we've got another expression here that is a combination of parentheses, a bunch of relational operators, the greater than, the less than, and the double equal for equals, and logical operators. So I have a logical and a logical or. And I do have a not operation. So I see that this one takes precedence. However, there are parentheses, right? So I'm not gonna start with the not operation. I'm going to evaluate all the parentheses. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to have a comment underneath and say result equals, so 5 greater than 3 in parentheses. Well, that's true, right? True because 5 is greater than 3. And that's anded with 2 less than 4. Well, that's true. So, and we know for and, you need to have either both true, you must have both true for the outcome to be true. Otherwise, if at least one is false, then it's going to be false. But I'm getting ahead of myself because we need to finish evaluating all the things that are within parentheses first. So we did this one, now let's do this one. That's true because 6 is equal to 6. So I'm gonna have not true. Now, looking at the operations that we have, I have and, or, and not. So this takes precedence, the not. So this not will turn whatever after it from true to false or from false to true. So it will invert it. So this will become false. And then going back to the PDF or the precedence list, I have an and an or left. And basically the and takes precedence over the or. So I'll have to perform this operation first, which will evaluate to true. And then we know that if you have true on one side of the or, then whatever is in the other side is going to be insignificant because one true is enough for an or operation for the result to be true. So this is true, then I know it's true without having to evaluate or look at the other side. So the other side is false, doesn't matter. The whole thing will evaluate to true. And that's how we navigate the precedence of this particular expression. If I hit run, I will get true. All right, so I'm looking at a new expression here, and I have parentheses, a pair, but then pairs of parentheses within that pair of parentheses and pair of parentheses here. So this one is on the left. So I'm going to start with this one here. I'm going to copy that, go down here, paste that, and I'm going to start with this. And within each pair of parentheses, the same rules will apply. So I see that there is a pair of parentheses here with a plus b. A being 8, B is 4. So that's 12. And the second pair of parentheses is this guy, B mod 3. So B is 4, mod 3 is 1. And there is a multiply by C. C being 6. Right, so, and then I'm going to perform the multiplication before I perform the addition. So 1 multiplied by 6 is 6. Added to 12 produces 18. So this expression here will evaluate to 18. So I'm going to put here 18 and then the rest of the expression. I notice that I do still have a pair of parentheses here that I need to look after. So B minus C. B is 4, C is 6. So that's minus 2. So I'm going to delete that and put minus 2. Now it's all a bunch of relational and actually two relational and one logical operation. If you go back to the rules, we see that relational operations are evaluated first, then the logical operations, unless the logical operation is a not, is a unary operator. So is 18 greater than 20? The answer is false. 18 is less than 20. Now, since it's a AND operation, I don't really have to compute what's in here because false and whatever it is, whether it's another false or a true, is going to produce false. So I can run the code without having to compute the other one, and I know it's going to be false. And the other one is minus 2 is less than or equal 0. Well, that happens to be true. Minus 2 is less than 0. So whatever you have on the other side, if you know, you have false. And the same for like if you had in or. If you have an or and you have true on one side, whatever is on the other side is going to be true. So that's actually something that if you have an expression like this and you put it in an if statement, sometimes the compiler will be smart and basically will figure, okay, well, I've basically brought it down to this, right? And I've computed that this is true. And then sometimes the compiler will say, okay, this is, I've computed this to be false. So I know this is false. So whatever is in here is going is not going to matter. So the compiler sometimes will just optimize by not even bothering to compute the other side. So here's some more examples for you to look at. So you feel free to pause the video and compute the result. I'm going to hit run and show you the final result. Feel free to pause the video and think about it. Here's another example. I'm going to hit run. We get true. And here's another example. I'm going to hit run. I get true. And here's one last example. I actually have one last example here that I would like to show you. Now, seeing this is a course for beginners, there are more operators that we did not talk about yet that we will talk about in the future. And they will have their own place in the precedence list that we've seen earlier. So for now, for the operators that we've talked about, this is the precedence of each of those operators. And hopefully those will help us get started for now making some interesting programs. Thank you for watching the video. Hope you found it useful. And if you have, give us a thumbs up and hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.